Best part about a safety squat bar? You can do anything with it.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just responding to comments.
You ready to rock?
Yeah. Do I help here, Dada?
Not a chance.
It's come to this, me doing a video on squatting. Had I realized by making a channel I'd have to lower myself to this level, then I never would have done it. So today we're reviewing the Bells of Steel SS3, which is an upgrade over previous versions that didn't really hold their own as well as this one does. In version 2 they introduced rotating sleeves, but the execution fell a little bit short. And ever since then, and along the way, they've tweaked the geometry to get us to this point right here. A safety squat bar that stands well against the competition. While this is a solid budget bar, it's not without its flaws. And to set our expectations, we have to realize that we're competing with and comparing to, for the most part, other safety squat bars. So if you came to a Bells review to hear me talk about Titan, first of all, it's an odd thing to do. Second of all, you know me too well. Using a bar like this will take a little bit of getting used to versus a traditional barbell squat. Hell, even Titan's old stock photos used to be with the bar facing backwards. You're still working the same muscles as a barbell squat, just the distribution of weight is a little bit different because of that camber. You can see here from Winnie's first attempt at using a safety squat bar, she actually drops lower in her range of motion than normal, and then that dreaded butt wink rears its head. But please, internet, this is not a how-to video. She doesn't want you critiquing her form. Just stare at the benches in the background like everyone else. So let's talk quickly about why you might want a safety squat bar. Essentially, what is its purpose? Now, I'm no scientist, but I have read a few studies on safety squat bars. Key term a few. There's not a whole lot of research on these things, though it is the internet, so there's a lot of people, just like me, who can feed you anecdotal evidence showing you that pretty much anything's great. So why not me? A guy who hates squats but never skips them. A true American. Now, if you want to argue EMG studies, feel free to in the comments. And while I normally respond to comments, I won't on that one. While I don't have shoulder, elbow, or wrist issues, which is a big reason people use a safety squat bar, I will say as a low bar squatter, that position we put ourselves in definitely puts more strain on the joints. And in the past, when I'd hit higher rep ranges, I'd have some tingling and discomfort. So it's not hard to make the argument for why you might want one of these things, other than to give your shoulders a break, which then allows me to foolishly abuse those shoulders in other ways like doing weighted dips and other exercises someone my age doesn't need to be doing. The camber is going to lower the center of gravity, which can give you a little more stability in your squat while also helping you stay more upright. I had issues with my range of motion as a high bar squatter, but when using a safety squat bar, I actually drop lower without any thought or adjustment. Sure, I can't push as much weight with this thing, but I always sucked at squat, and that's hardly the bar's fault. My back probably isn't taking the abuse it has been when using this because it lowers the potential for me to round my back on that dreaded final rep. You know, that one where you debate what purpose your legs truly serve. Let's get into the details of this thing and talk about the specs and build. The sleeves have a bright zinc finish and they're also Olympic-sized sleeves, which are rare to see in specialty bars, so normal collars will work. And those two things alone are great to see in a bar like this. It seems the days of specialty bars needing axle collars and powder-coated sleeves that chip away are coming to an end. Speaking of the sleeves, they're almost identical to the sleeves on the bare naked powerlifting bar, with thin collars and deep set ribbing, which can be a little loud when loading and unloading, but some people like it loud and ribbed. Speaking of the sleeves, they have an 11.5-inch loadable sleeve length, so if you're putting up big weight or using thick bumpers like a Rogue HG 2.0, you're not going to be able to get many on there. The sleeves rotate, which is unique for a safety squat bar, but I think they overcompensated a bit from version 2 where they didn't include bushings in the sleeves. Here they have a brass bushing on the inside and a roller bearing on the outside. We're not performing Olympic lifts with this thing, so it's debatable whether you'd want rotation at all, but including a bearing is a bit of an odd choice in my opinion. Either way, I haven't noticed the rotation negatively affecting my lifts, but it is something to be aware of, and either way, I do appreciate their attempt at evolving. It has removable handles and ships with 3 pairs, so whether you prefer medium, long, or chains, it gives you more variety in what you can do with the bar and allows you to cater to your own wants and needs. And as far as I know, nobody else includes multiple handles with their bar, and it's a cool touch. The grips themselves feel a bit cheap, and I'd prefer knurled, but that's just me. I should mention one of the nuts on one of my handles is mounted slightly crooked. It doesn't affect me when using it, but it's noticeable when putting it on. As an example of an exercise opened up by all these handle options, you could remove them and perform JM presses. Sure, I can do these on a normal bar, but the padding can help with the movement. It's also a great example of why having a home gym is a great thing. Imagine performing these in a commercial gym and all the looks you'd get. Plus, lots of commercial gyms don't even have specialty bars. It's listed at 20 kilograms or 44 pounds on their site and 58 pounds on the end cap, which they clearly need to update, but it's definitely closer to the listing. And versus many of these bars weighing 60 or more pounds, it keeps the math simple, or as simple as plate math is, where one plate really means two and none of the numbers really make sense. Some of that weight that they shaved off it comes from the fact that the bar is a little bit shorter and a skinnier shaft diameter versus many other safety squat bars at 32 millimeters. I don't typically love black zinc as a finish because it tends to wear away pretty quickly and easily, but on a safety squat bar, it's not as big of an issue because, well, you're not making as much contact with the shaft, so it should last longer. I say that, but mine did come with a little bit of wear on the shaft and handles from rubbing on the foam packaging on the long trip from China. I'm not sure where or how that happened along the way, since they do provide a little bit of extra protection for the bar by bagging it up, but somewhere along the way, mine got roughed up a little bit. Speaking of the packaging, it does leave a little bit to be desired. I mean, your bar will arrive in good shape because of all the foam they use, but there's a lot of open space and the handles are just kind of thrown in there so they'll move around some. The yoke is comfortable and probably also inspired by the Elite FTS SS yoke bar. I'm not sure you're seeing anything revolutionary here, but it should feel comfortable on the neck and shoulders for most people. The padding at just over 1.5 inches thick, so over 5 inches total, it feels like it sits maybe a little bit high. But it's your basic single piece of thick carpet padding. It's firm and functional, but not the best thing you'll find out there. And with the vinyl, I'd probably echo that same sentiment. It's a basic textured vinyl, but the stitching is very clean and well done. For a safety squat bar to be usable, it has to have the correct camber angle and depth, which determines how it sits on your back and balances. Bells uses a 22-degree camber angle, which is common but has a lower drop than others. But like some other things, it can be a little bit difficult to get a true length measurement here, but for the most part, Bells drop is less than 4 inches versus Titan at 5 inches and Elite FTS at 6. The effect of this is that the bar tends to want to tilt back a little more, so if you're not holding the handles like during a Hatfield squat, the bar wants to pivot back some, which makes the exercise more difficult to complete, but when you're using the handles, it's not really much of an issue. You could also argue it's actually easier to squat with versus bars with a deeper camber because the weight's not pushing you forward as much. And I should mention, it's actually designed to be used in 47-inch wide racks like this rep rack right here. So with the gradual drop in camber, if you've got a 49-inch wide rack like Rogue's Monster Series, it's going to want to tilt the J-cups. Or the bar will just try to move to one side of your rack. So boys, this might be another one of those times you wish you had another inch or two. Now typically I beat on Titan for how heavily influenced their designs can be. And I still haven't forgotten how bad their first attempt at a safety squat bar was. So this is one of those times where I'm kind of happy they did what they do best. Steal other people's ideas and somehow make them worse. I'm just kidding. It's providing the lowest priced quality equipment there is. Every article and review is going to parrot the same thing I say here. They probably make the best budget safety squat bar, which I tend to agree with, but you could definitely make the argument for this bar right here. Titan's is a little bit better balanced, but I like the handle options on the SS3. Now, they're both borrowing from Elite FTS's yoke bar, and if you like the idea of multiple handles or other things I've pointed out in this review, stick with Bells. If you want something that's similar to Elite's but not exact, Titan's is a popular choice. Either way, the worst thing about these bars is they're used to squat. Whether you love the changes Bells has made to a traditional design is going to be based on personal preference. But if you haven't used a ton of safety squat bars and don't already have certain expectations, I don't think there's anything here that you wouldn't think is normal for a bar like this. And that's a testament to what Bells has done with this thing. Either way, I think it makes the budget choice a little more difficult, but I don't think you'd be upset if you ended up with either of these bars. Like, comment, and subscribe to boost us on that algorithm. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.